Greetings and salutations, and this is Techronaut here, back with more Hat in Time. Okay, sorry for the excitement, but I'm excited for a few reasons. I mentioned in the last, for people not watching the Dot Hack Volume 1 Let's Play, I'm going to re-mention this here. I'm excited because I'm almost done with Dot Hack Volume 1. I already got Volume 2 all the way recorded, just beat it before I did the commentary for the last Dot Hack video that went up 2 days before this one. Before this Hat in Time video. So that's one reason. The other reason is I'm almost done with this game too. Now, you might be thinking, you excited being done with these games? Do you just not like these games? No, that's not really what it is. It's me being excited that I have amazing games like this done. Like fully Let's Play on my channel. Fully watchable from start to finish. That's what I'm happy with. Like, I try to get the best Let's Play games I can to Let's Play. Like, you may notice that. Like, aside from my, like, obvious bias for Resident Evil and 3D platformers, I do try to, like, get, like, a good variety of games. And even though this is a 3D platformer, like, most of the Sonic games I played on this channel, like Ratchet and Clank, Rift Apart, it's still a little different from those. And then Dot Hack, even though, well, actually, Dot Hack GU Volume 1 is the first RPG I've done a Let's Play of. And I've already expressed before that the reason for that is because a lot of RPGs are really long, but that's kind of why I started doing longer videos, so that, like, I could actually do that, because Dot Hack GU Volume 2 is about 20 hours, which used to be the limit of how long a game has to be for me to do a Let's Play, because I did shorter videos, and I didn't want to end up doing a Let's Play that's like 30 parts. But now that I do longer videos, a 20-hour game is like roughly 16 parts, maybe 17 or 18. It's a pretty good length. So now my limit is like a 30-hour game, just about. Now, for this volume of Run On Games, I'm not going to really be doing any 30-hour games, because I want to ease into longer games. That's why I'm doing like semi-long games first. Like, I'm doing Dot Hack GU Volume 1, which was 14 hours. Volume 2, which is almost 20 hours. I think it might have taken me a little less than 20 hours to beat it, but it's around 20 hours. As well as Hi-Fi Rush, which I think, if I remember correctly, was 12 hours, which is not that long of a game, but it's longer than most games I was doing before, because before I wasn't really doing most games that were above 10 hours, honestly. But yeah. That's really all I have to get off my chest about, like, Let's Play related stuff, so you won't be hearing me ramble on about that too much this video. I know I have a bad track record by this point of just rambling on about Let's Play stuff when it doesn't need to be said. But I'm trying to break that habit, so I'm not gonna be saying any more on that. Oh boy, this part. I might need a scooter for this. I might need a scooter. I might need it because see what I mean? If I just try to walk through there normally, by the time I get to the middle, I would have got hit if I didn't jump out of the way. Like, boy. See, we needed the scooter to do that. I barely made it with the scooter. Okay, we're gonna jump here and then jump there. Cling! This is probably the hardest timepiece to get in this act, or not in this act, in this chapter, but I don't care. It gives me time to commentate. This is probably the hardest one to get overall in this chapter. And that's fine. That's fine. If we're going after one I think we're going after.
Want something to eat? Bye-bye.
If we're going after the one I think we're going after, then I could be wrong, but I think the Let's timepiece we're going after is a really tough platform challenge. But again, I could be wrong. The hardest timepiece I'm thinking of. Yeah, we're going for it. We're going for that timepiece. I recognize all of this. If I'm not mistaken, I think there's like, you have to platform all the way to the top of this area, and then there's a timepiece up there. Motherfucker. Okay. We got backup with these, so that's not a big problem. I don't like how, like, I'm not a big fan of the, of this mask. Or this hat. I forgot what it's called, I'm sorry, but, I'm not a big fan of its gimmick compared to the other ones. Like, the other hats are just more fun. This one's, like, a little annoying. I feel like if the hat was given, like, an extra second or something, it would be pretty fun to use, but, like, it's like... Oh, shit. Okay, at least I spawn back up here. I always prefer falling off and dying than, like, restarting a platforming section from the very beginning. So, like, when something like that happens and I just, like, fall off, if I have to restart the section, that pisses me off. That's a gripe I actually have with this game at a couple moments. But luckily, for the most part, this game does kill you when you drop from high enough, so you don't have to repeat too much when you fall in most platforming sections. I say most because there have been a couple in this game that got on my nerves because of the fact that you have to restart when you, like, a huge chunk of it when you fall. And it's like, I can kind of understand why, like, you'd fall, like, they'd want you to repeat it instead of, like, dying. Because maybe, like some people will rage from dying over and over, and I get that. But I don't rage from that. But I do get impatient with having to repeat sections over and over. So, like, yeah, I prefer to just, like, die, lose a life or lose a bit of life, bit of a health bar, and then respawn. It's better to me than... I know some people don't like bottomless pits, but I actually prefer when platformers use them because it's less annoying to restart at the most recent checkpoint than to fall down and have to restart, like, from an earlier part that you would have. It's like, yeah. And with a Hat in Time in particular, until you, like, lose all your health, your checkpoint is basically really close to where you died at all times. So it's yeah, in this game, definitely bottomless pits or areas that are so far down you're gonna die are better than what was I using that mask again? Not mask, that hat again? I keep calling it a mask because it technically is a mask. Oh, I had the wrong one on. That's what it was. Yeah, this right here, hardest timepiece. From memory. I don't know if, I think there's one more we gotta get after this. I don't know if it's any harder. But if I'm correct, that should be the hardest timepiece.
Are you trying to play a trick on me?
No, I'm not, I swear! I never lay upon your jewelry!
Then why did I find your cat hair on it?
No.
Don't let that be you. Well done. My organization can always use more people like you. There's a place for you here, provided you don't disappoint me. Still, I hear my little collection isn't quite complete, so get back to it. And be thorough. Leave no stone unturned, you hear?
Well then. Anyway, I'd like to point out that this is another one of those videos where I couldn't complete the commentary the day I was originally recording it, so we're recording on a different day. I have no idea what I was talking about early in the video, so we are going on to new topics. I don't talk about the visual design of games too much because when I play games, I'm mostly like invested in like how good the gameplay is, how good the voice acting and writing is, that sort of stuff, how good like certain aspects of the atmosphere is for certain games. Like, it's not usually the visual department I'm too focused on for the most part. Again, I'll think a game looks good, but I might not say it. And there are some games I play that are really fun that don't look that great. Like, I'll admit it, the .hack GU games do not look good at all, but they're fun to play. And they have a really good story and characters, etc., etc. So that's why I play them. I'm planning on doing Crystar eventually. That's actually the main game. That and Detroit Become Human are the main games I plan on doing eventually that led me to start doing longer videos so I could realistically do full Let's Plays of them without having a 40-part Let's Play. But yeah, and Crystar is not the best looking game either. But why do I bring that up? Because this is the first time on this channel I think I need to praise the visual design of a game. But before I do that, I want to get something out of the way. A Hat in Time is really good with art style. Its graphics aren't that great, but it makes up for it in art style. And I have a strong opinion on that. I think games that focus more on art style than graphics look better. And it's not just because, like, it's not just looking better in the moment either. They age better too. Think about it. When you look at games that focus more on art style from like the PS3, PS2, PS1 eras, they all look better compared to games that were going for realism back then. Because, well, part of that was because graphics back then weren't really like all too kind to the realism direction. But basically, that same thing might apply to like how current games look in 20 years. Like, in 20 years, games that currently come out may look like shit graphically. You know, like, you never know how graphics are gonna age in the future. Like, we're at a point where graphics can be really realistic. So like, I don't think games can look much better unless they start focusing on art style. That's where I think games like A Hat in Time and Hi-Fi Rush really benefit. Because A Hat in Time came out in the mid to late 2010s, and it looks better than most mid to late 2010 games look by today's standards. If you look at like, let me look at what year this actually came out, because I wanna have like a specific game to compare this to. And I'm not really gonna have that unless I look up a specific game. Sorry if you heard noise on the mic, I had to adjust it. But let me look up, okay, A Hat in Time release date. 2017, okay, that is perfect. Because I know I've done this enough and people might be tired of me doing this. Resident Evil 7 versus A Hat in Time. Resident Evil 7 does not have much of an art style going for it. It really doesn't. And it's the only RE Engine Resident Evil game that has managed to age pretty poorly. You look at Resident Evil 2 Remake, Resident Evil Village, and Resident Evil 3 Remake, they all still look really great. They really do. Like, Resident Evil 4 Remake wasn't even able to top them that much graphically because they all look amazing. But then you look at Resident Evil 7 and you got muddy hair textures. You have low-res textures on certain parts of the game. You have shitty looking weapons and enemies that are basic as fuck looking. Basically, aside from the Bakers, the Bakers all have really good designs. I'm more so talking about the molded. Look at all that. Resident Evil 7 was going more in the realism than the art style direction. Compare it to this game, which came out months later. This game, obviously, is not trying to be graphically impressive. If this game was judged off graphics, you'd think it'd be a late PS3 entry. At best. At best, you think it'd be a late PS3 entry. It does not look like a last-gen game, even though it was. Graphically, anyway. But its art style is so good that despite it graphically looking like a late PS3 game, which is about where I would probably say the graphics are, it's aged better visually than Resident Evil 7 has. And I know I shit on Resident Evil 7 a lot. People by now who actually watch my videos might actually think I hate Resident Evil 7. That's not true. I don't hate Resident Evil 7. It's more so that, like, everything good I had to say about Resident Evil 7, I had already thought or said to somebody the year it came out. And then as time has gone on, I've just kind of seen more cracks in it. Like, over time, I just kind of see that it's not as good as the game as I thought it was. Because at one point, Resident Evil 7 was my favorite Resident Evil game. But then RE2 Remake came out and kind of showed me, now that I saw like a game that did what Resident Evil 7 did, but better, I was kind of like, okay, well, Resident Evil 7 is slow and sluggish, and you can't skip the cutscenes, and the textures are very inferior to the RE2 Remake. But you know what? That's all I really saw at the time. Resident Evil 3 Remake came out, not much changed, kind of just similar opinion, except I do think 7 is a good chunk better than 3 Remake. It's Village, I think, where my current gripes with 7 really formed, because after playing Village, like, and not only absolutely loving the game, but also seeing how good it looked compared to RE7, and the fact you could skip cutscenes, the fact there was an option to do a third-person mode, the fact that it had the best aim a mainline non-remake Resident Evil game has had since the RE1 remake, kind of. Because I ain't gonna lie, as good of a game as the original RE4 is, its aim was not good. And the only reason I can even say, like, the RE1 remake's aim is good at all is because it basically works on an auto aim. So, yeah, the Resident Evil series really didn't get good aim until the Revelations games, in my opinion. I don't think the aiming in 6 or 5 is good, or the original 4, or, the Dark Side Chronicles, even though I had a lot of fun with the Dark Side Chronicles, don't get me wrong, and the original RE4 does have some fun in it. I would not say any of those games have good aim, and the series really didn't get good aim until Revelations 1, and it didn't consistently have good aim until Resident Evil 2 Remake. Resident Evil 2 Remake was where they started consistently getting the aim right. But in Resident Evil 7, you aim like shit. And I kind of noticed that the aiming in 7 wasn't that great when I first played Resident Evil 2 Remake. And noticed it was a lot better there. But Village made it even more obvious because as someone who played both the third and first person mode of Village, back to back basically, I did the third-person mode for my Let's Play, then I did, like, a second run on first-person mode. That's where it became really obvious how bad 7's aim was, because I had another first-person Resident Evil game to compare it to that wasn't a rail shooter, basically. Or an auto-rail shooter. And yeah, like I said, I don't hate 7. Like, I'd give 7 a solid 6.5 out of 10. And that's not a bad score to me. If a game is anywhere above 5, that means I have fun with the game. If the score is like 6 or above, that means I at least have fun whenever I go back to the game. 7's just got a bunch of, like, stuff that holds it back for me these days. but I really did enjoy it the first time I played it, and I will praise the Not a Hero DLC to hell and back, because Not a Hero DLC fixes a lot of my gripes in the main game. It's just sad that they never went back and fixed that stuff for the main game. And I understand why the aim is shit from a story perspective, because Ethan's supposed to be basically someone who's never held a gun before. He's basically supposed to be just this normal dude who got roped into the mess that is the story of Resident Evil 7. And when I say mess, I'm not saying like the story's bad. Resident Evil 7 has a pretty good story. I'm more so be that like mess as in like a situation you don't want to be in. I think I need to specify that, because I know how people on the internet think. They will take shit you say out of context if you don't add the context needed, and be like, oh, well, yeah, you talk about this, even though you never specifically said what they think you said. So if you ever notice, like, sometimes I might over-explain my opinion or something, it's basically to avoid that. My channel at the moment is pretty small, but if it were ever to grow to like a bigger channel, to the point where like I get regular comments and stuff, I'd like to have an audience who understands I'm not like saying something more negative than I am. I'd like to like explain myself a little bit to kind of like pinpoint exactly how negative or positive I'm being for the benefit of the conversation, so people won't just snap at me for thinking I said something I didn't. While at the same time, I also want to build an audience that like can understand my points in the first place, even if they don't agree. Like, can understand that I don't mean, like, when I say bad stuff about Resident Evil 7, I'm not calling it a bad game by any means. It's more so that I already got all the praise I had for it out of my system, and since I haven't played it in so long, that praise hasn't really come back. I'd have to go revisit the game and have fun with it again to really have that praise come back, because that's really where a lot of my praise for games comes up, is around the time I've played them or replayed them, whatever. Like, a lot of praise I have for games shows up when I'm experiencing that game, you know? Or, like, sometimes even weeks after I've done experiencing it. You know, it's just like, I don't know. Sometimes I feel like I come off too negative. So that's another reason I try to specify myself, because I don't want to be, like, known as a really negative person. And I also don't want to, like, because I'm not a negative person. I'd see myself as, like, kind of, like, down the middle. I'm not too negative, too positive, etc., etc. Like, I think I'm kind of somewhere in the middle, if I'm being realistic. Because there are sometimes I go on tangents about how much I love things, and sometimes I go on rants on how much I hate things. I think I'm pretty, like, down the middle when it comes to negativity and positivity. And I try to lean more positive anyway, because I think the world is a really negative place, and I think part of that is why I hate the world sometimes. And I'd like to leave, like, a little bit of a positive impact, even though, like, I will go on negative tangents sometimes. I want to leave more of a positive impact than a negative one. That's why I try to be open-minded to everything for the most part. There are some really sus things I'm not open to. I'm not going to specify what they are, but there are some things I'm not really open to, but it's stuff that is harmful anyway, so it's like, yeah. But that's why I'm, like, open-minded to, like, pretty much whatever. I don't care what race you are. I don't care your religion, your sexuality, etc., etc. If you're a decent person, I'm going to respect you. And I'm going to be open-minded to how you feel, how you think, all that stuff, as long as you're a decent person. Like, that's why I don't really argue with people anymore. I've come to the point where, like, I don't care if your opinion's different than mine, as long as you're a decent to good person. Like, at the end of the day, they're just opinions, right? There's not really any use starting a war over them. And that's something I feel like people on the internet need to learn. Like, really, like, I'm serious. People on the internet really need to learn that. I'm on the internet a lot, more than I'd like to admit, but I feel like people who are on the internet less than me are chronically on the internet. And I'm not. You want to know why I'm not? Because I'm still grounded in reality. I still do stuff outside the internet. Even though I'm on the internet a lot, it's because I have a lot of free time. It's not because, like, that's the only thing I got to do. It's because I have a lot of free time. I have stuff to do in my own life that's not connected to the internet. It's just I'm on the internet a lot because of free time, you know, and because of like certain hobbies and stuff I have are connected to those. I do these Let's Play videos as a hobby. I do music for the most part is currently a hobby, at least until I can get to a point where like I have an entire released album on Spotify that I know how to promote well. It's gonna be a hobby. I'm hoping that music can turn into a job, and like independent job. You know, that's why I'm kind of trying to get my music on Spotify, because
things you want to do when
I would think it'd be really beneficial to have like it going for like a job, because if I could profit from music, then you know I don't really gotta do much outside of music and Let's Plays. I could just promote my music, let it grow, and then like promote my Let's Plays, or people might watch my Let's Plays. If my music grows to a larger enough audience, they might be like, oh, well, your channel also posts Let's Plays, let's go watch those. Like, you never know. A lot of people who are fans of rap music are also gamers, so it's like it's a big like connection there. Like a lot of people who are a fan of rap music are also gamers. And I make rap music because it's the genre I'm passionate about, and I'm also a gamer. It's like music and gaming are my two main passions, so like I'd like to profit off of one of them. One day I'd like my channel to be profitable from a Let's Play standpoint too. But if it never happens and I can at least get the music thing going, I at least have a way of doing what I love as a job, you know, like that's really what the goal is. I want to get to the point where I can do what I love as a job and not have to like do some shitty shit for the rest of my life. That's really what I'm trying to get to. I want to get to a point where like I can either profit off my Let's Play channel or my music, or hopefully both. Best case scenario, both one day. But I think my music has more of a chance of growing than my Let's Plays, unfortunately, even though I'd rather the Let's Plays be the one to grow, because they're the ones I have more fun with. Music is kind of... I have a lot of fun with music too, don't get me wrong, and I do enjoy doing music. It's just, I can't do music as often as I can Let's Plays. Let's Plays are more fun, the editing for them is easier. Most of it is just me playing and recording a game and then adding commentary. It's like it's easy, chill, fun, etc., etc. There's not really like too much headache out of it. But when it comes to like music, I gotta do a lot more for it if it like starts to take off, you know? Like I gotta do, like it's gonna be harder to promote that. So I would rather the Let's Plays be the one to take off because it'd be easier to promote them and everything, but you know, it's whatever. Like,
seen that little kid running around? Aw, children shouldn't be like...
it's whatever. Like, if they never take off, I'll be fine. There's always like something else I can do for a living, you know, like there's always gonna be a way for me to basically do what I need to survive. In a legal way. Obviously, I'm going to specify that in a legal way because I will not stoop to illegal shit. There's always going to be a way for me to survive somehow.
Wanna buy something?
Because I have skills like of certain things. I can do something. Even if like... Even if my music and my Let's Plays don't take off, I could, you know, I could start like hyper-focusing on doing art commissions because I also draw characters. I could do like hyper focus on that, promote that, get better at drawing, like start practicing drawing backgrounds and stuff so I can do more advanced commissions. That sort of shit. Like it would just be beneficial. I have talents in several different areas. I know how to write songs, I know how to rap and sing, I know how to draw, digitally and traditionally. I know how to commentate. I know how to, I'm really good at, well, I'm not, I wouldn't say, I'm gonna say I'm really good at video games, but I'm not like, you know, I'm obviously not like a master at them or like pro gamer or anything. I'm just a really good gamer. You'll notice it on my channel, like there's some games I'm really good at to the point where it's impressive, but then there's other games I'm just decent at. Most of the Let's Plays I do on this channel are my first run of a game, so like you're seeing me at my weakest, but I still managed to do really good at them. Like this, for example, this was my first time through this DLC, but surprisingly I don't die too often, or at least as often as I thought I did, because, sorry, I need to clear my throat. Watching like these videos back, like these last couple videos back of me just doing this DLC, I've noticed that I'm not as that I'm actually better at this game than I thought I was, because this DLC, this was my first ever run of it, and I do die a few times, but like, getting some drink from my throat. I do die a few times in this DLC, but not as much as I thought I did. And I'm actually, like, watching back, I'm actually impressed I'm actually doing as well as I did, because it almost looks like it's my second run of it, even though it's not. It's my, most of this game was my second run, but this DLC was my first run. I want to clarify that. The DLC only was my first run. This is my first run of the Metro. Again, I keep forgetting the name, the first name of the DLC, but the Metro DLC for a hat time. This is my first time going through it. In the same season of Roll Out Games. First time going through .hack GU Volumes 1 and 2. First time going through Hi-Fi Rush. If you don't know, Volume 2 of .hack GU and Hi-Fi Rush are the two games I'm going to be doing once this and .hack Volume 1 conclude. But anyway, I'm going to have to end off the video here. So, well, it's going to end whenever this clip's over, but I'm going to go ahead and say bye. Bye!